My name's Wreck-It Ralph.
I'm gonna wreck it!
30 years I've been doing this.
I can fix it!
It's hard to love your job when no one else seems to like you for doing it.
You're just the bad guy who wrecks the building.
I'm okay.
Hello everyone, obviously it's time for another vlog, and it's for Wreck-It Ralph, if you couldn't tell from the title up there. And I have been looking forward to this movie ever since I saw the trailer several months ago, which, if you've seen the trailer, as you probably guessed, it's basically like Who Framed Roger Rabbit. It's kind of a cross between Roger Rabbit and Toy Story. You know, it features a bunch of classic video game characters, and it deals with what happens when the kids are gone and the arcade is closed. What do these characters do after hours when no one's playing the games? And basic rundown of the plot, the main character, Wreck-It Ralph, voiced by John C. Reilly, is the chief bad guy in a game called Fix-It Felix Jr., which is kind of a cross between Donkey Kong and Rampage, I suppose. And he is sick and tired of being the bad guy because no one likes a bad guy, and he wants to be liked. He wants to be like Felix and be the hero and actually be treated well by the other characters in the game. So he decides to leave Fix-It Felix Jr. and jump to another game to see if he can do something heroic and actually get the good guy treatment he so desperately wants. And of course it all goes horribly wrong, as it often does in these stories. And he ultimately ends up in another game. It's a game called Sugar Rush, which is kind of like a... It's very much influenced by Mario Kart, but it's more of a cutesy, candy and little girl-filled version of Mario Kart. Kind of Powerpuff Girls-ish, I suppose, the way these characters are designed. And it's there that he meets a girl named Vanellope von Schweetz, who is voiced by Sarah Silverman. And she is actually a glitch in the game, but she longs to be an actual racer. And so Wreck-It Ralph teams up with her and tries to help her become a real racer so she no longer relegated to being this outcast, kind of like he is in a way. And that's about as much of the plot that I want to spoil, because if I get too much further into that, it's going to ruin it. But yeah, overall, this movie was very good. I enjoyed it. I really liked the characters for the most part. They were very likable. I thought Reilly and Silverman did a pretty good job. Fix-It Felix Jr. is, who voiced him? Jack McBrayer voiced him, also did a good job. Another main character, which Wreck-It Ralph runs into in another game that he jumps into, it's called Hero's Duty, which is kind of a, your standard first-person shooter, military-type game like Call of Duty, Gears of War, that sort of thing. There's the commander in that game is I forget the character's name, but it's voiced by Jane Lynch, and she's pretty much playing herself. So really, I'm just going to call her Jane Lynch. And yeah, she is a total hard ass, and a very entertaining hard ass. And there's actually a reason why her character is like that. They say she was programmed with the most depressing backstory ever. I'm not going to give it away, but it is hilariously over the top. Very well done. And yeah, pretty much is the most depressing backstory ever. Depressing in a funny way, but if that makes sense. And the other main character is King Candy, who is the ruler of Sugar Rush and is trying to stop Vanellope from becoming a main character because he's afraid of what the glitch might do to the game. And King Candy is voiced by Alan Tudyk. I did not realize this until I saw his name in the credits, because he sounds nothing like... I mean, if you've seen him in, like, Firefly, for example, nothing like that at all. He's basically doing a Mad Hatter-type voice. The original Mad Hatter, mind you, not the Johnny Depp version. No, fuck that. He's doing, like, the old-school Disney Mad Hatter. Oh, welcome to Sugar Rush. Have some candy. And after the race, we'll sit down and have a cup of tea. That sort of thing. That was my piss-poor Mad Hatter. I hope you enjoyed it. Yeah, that's it for most of the main characters, and somehow there's a romance that starts up between Fix-It Felix Jr. and Jane Lynch, which makes very little sense, but it's still very well done, very funny. With Fix-It Felix being this old-fashioned, he's a very old video game character, so he acts like a very old-fashioned, proper, well-mannered gentleman, and Jane Lynch is this hard-ass who really doesn't have any interest in him at first, except for punching him in the face, which she does repeatedly in another very funny scene, but try not to give too much away. But yeah, I thought the animation was very well done. I've had a hard time believing this was not a Pixar movie at times. It's just Disney by themselves. Pixar was not involved, although John Lasseter did produce it, I think. But yeah, officially it's not Pixar, but it looks amazing. The two games that I mentioned, Hero's Duty and Sugar Rush, the amount of sheer detail that went into these. I don't know if they actually got some real video game designers to act as consultants for these or not, but if they just did this on their own, then the people who worked on this probably should be level designers or video game graphic artists, because they did a very nice job on this. They're absolutely gorgeous. And let's see, what else can I say? That's most of the good stuff there. Oh, and there's one other thing. The video game characters that they use in here, unfortunately, they didn't use as much of them as I was hoping they would. They're all there for pretty much of the first act, but when Wreck-It Ralph jumps into Sugar Rush for the middle section of the movie, it's pretty much just him and Vanellope and King Candy with a little bit of Fix-It Felix and Jane Lynch, and that's about it. And they don't really show up again until the end, and then it's only sporadic, which I kind of had a feeling would happen. I mean, Roger Rabbit kind of did the same thing. Although it worked better in Roger Rabbit, I think, because when it was just Eddie and Roger, they were much more interesting characters than what we had in this movie. I didn't feel nearly as good about Ralph and Vanellope and their interactions as I did about Eddie and Roger. I thought that was handled much better. Not that it's bad. I know a lot of people did not like the character of Vanellope based on some of the reviews I've seen. Personally, I wasn't bothered by her. Yes, she is a little annoying, but she's supposed to be a little girl. Little girls are annoying. That's how they are. She's playing the character the way it's supposed to be played. And, I didn't think it was unnecessarily annoying. It was okay. I just wasn't as interested in the characters, and the story just kind of dragged down a bit. It wasn't nearly as exciting. The jokes weren't as funny. It wasn't really as good. It picked back up at the end. Once they get to the actual race, I'm loving it. The final scene was just awesome. But yeah, that's it. But anyway, in the way they use the video game characters when they're in there is very well done. Of course, there's the little support group scene that I'm sure you've all seen in the trailers with all of the bad guys together. And there's also a scene that takes place in Root Beer Tapper, which I guess serves as the local watering hole for the game characters after hours, which is pretty clever. And beyond that, and there's also Sonic the Hedgehog is another one of the characters that's in this, and he's actually doing a Sonic Says. If you are unfortunate enough to remember the old Sonic cartoon, not the Sad AM one, the crappy one, like at the end of every episode he would do a PSA called Sonic Says. He's basically doing that in this movie. Basically, all the video game arcade cabinets are connected by a power strip, which acts as the central hub, kind of like a train station of sorts for all the video game characters. And in there was a video billboard with Sonic, and he's basically doing a public service announcement there. It's like, remember, if you journey to another game, be careful, because if you die in that game outside of your own, you die permanently. Stay safe out there. Something along that lines. And I'm thinking, oh my God, he's doing Sonic Says. And I'll bet I'm one of 3 people in this theater that actually gets that. I wonder who the other 2 are. But yeah, I got a kick out of that. What else? Oh, one more thing that kind of disappointed me. And this is not something I expected after seeing the trailer. There is not nearly as much game jumping as I thought there would be. You know, I figured, you know, when Ralph decides he wants to be a hero and decides to go off and try to be heroic in other games, I thought we would see, if nothing else, at least a montage of him jumping from game to game to game, trying to do something good and just failing miserably because he has no idea how to be a good guy. He's been a bad guy all his life, so he keeps fucking it up. We don't actually see that. It's really, apart from, you know, his brief appearance in Root Beer Tapper, and he also appears in Pac-Man, because that's where the support group takes place. Like, in the little ghost lair in Pac-Man, that's where they all meet. I did like that. But, you know, when he actually tries to do his heroic things, he jumps into hero's duty, and then he ends up in Sugar Rush pretty much by accident, and that's it. I really wish they had done more with that. I was not expecting it to be that limited. Ugh, sorry, I have a cold. But yeah, that was really my only major gripe there, was that there should have been more game jumping. But yeah, I think that's about all I have to say about it. If you have a chance to see it and you haven't already, I definitely recommend checking it out. If you were a gamer growing up like I was and you remember all these classic characters, I'm very sure you'll get a kick out of this movie. If you have kids, if the children in my theater were any indication, they'll love it. You know, they all seem to be enjoying themselves, so I'm sure your kids will too. If you were not a gamer growing up, there's still enough here that I think you'll enjoy it. I mean, the story itself is still very well done, very charming. Even though it does drag down in the middle a bit, it picks up enough that I think most people will enjoy this movie. So, yeah, for all you people who think I do nothing but bag on kids' movies, here's one I actually liked. You know, it's like every time, when I did, you know, Chicken Little or Home on the Range, Cat in the Hat, it's like, what did you expect? It was a kids' movie. I'll tell you what I expected. Goddamn effort. You know what I saw in Wreck-It Ralph? Goddamn effort. Go see this movie. Take care.
Why do I fix everything I touch?
It's make your mama's proud time.
I love my mama! Oh, good. The cops. Hold still. Ow!
Take that!
What are you doing?
One game at a time, Ralph.